Hello friends, today the topic which I am going to discuss is all about genetics. As you know that Mendel is known as father of genetics and he studied genetics in 1865 and his work on the genetics was on the subject organism Pisum sativum. This is called as pea plant, garden pea. His experiments have given rise to few laws of inheritance. What do you mean by inheritance? Inheritance is the way in which the characters are transferred from parents to their offsprings. As we know that like begets like, the cat always give rise to the cats and elephant always give rise to the baby elephants. Therefore, the characters are transferred from the parents to the offsprings. This is known as inheritance and also known as heredity. But this process is governed through various laws, which Mendel has devised or proposed. And the subject matter of genetics encompasses all of them. Genetics is the branch of science that studies heredity and variation together. Now, what is variations? Variations are the changes between the organisms, the differences among organisms. As we all know that the parent is not a copy of the offsprings, or offsprings are not a copy of their parents, and no two siblings are alike except the identical monozygotic twins. So all organisms are having variations. So when the characters are transferred, so as the variations are also transferred from parents to the offsprings. So with the branch which studies the passing of heredity as well as variation is genetics. Now coming to the unit of heredity. What is unit of heredity? Gene. Gene is called the unit of heredity. Now, where are genes located and what is a gene in the first place? Gene, it is known as a segment of deoxyribonucleic acid. Also known as commonly DNA. It is the genetic material of various organisms. It was discovered by Watson and Crick. So, gene is the segment of DNA. DNA is a double helical molecule having the one turn of 34 nanometers, and it approximately have 10 base pairs in each turn, and with single base pair the distance between single base pair is 0.34 nanometer, and the diameter of the DNA is 0.2 nanometers. So this is the genetic material which is present in the nucleus of a cell. As we know that the cell is the unit of life, so in the nucleus there is DNA, and this DNA is having the nitrogen base pairs which are stacked inside of the double helix. Adenine is the nitrogen base pair which always pairs with the thymine with double bond, and guanine is paired with cytosine with a triple bond, and so is the case goes on in complete polymer. Therefore, any segment of the DNA which is coding for the segment of DNA which is responsible for, like A to B, this portion is responsible for the making of RNA first. RNA is a copy from the single strand of the DNA. Therefore, and having the reverse base pairs than the DNA. If it is prepared from the 5' to 3' and 3' to 5' and so if it is prepared from this one, then it will have the DNA sequence, like in place of T it will have A, C it will have G, and if there is T again, T, so it will have the opposite of the thymine, that means adenine, 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 and so the RNA is the copy of the DNA. This is DNA and this is RNA. And now if the RNA is going to do again translated into proteins, a chain of proteins. So this is known as this segment which is making the RNA and then it is converting into protein. This segment of DNA is known as a gene. And gene in the form of proteins only give rise to characters. Like for example, if this segment is coding for if the segment is a gene of height, so this protein will result in the formation of growth hormone. And this growth hormone expression will result in the taller individual, which is the character of that individual. Therefore, the study of how genes are passed from parents to offspring comes under the genetics. Now coming to the, as we now with the discussion knows that genes are present on the chromosomes. Genes are present on chromosomes, which are constant for every organisms. Example, in humans, there are 23 pair of chromosomes. Genes are transferred from parents to offspring through their fusion of the gametes from mother and from father. A child inherits their chromosomes in the form of their gametes. So gamete, the mother gamete is called egg cell and the father gamete is called sperm. So both will contribute their haploid number of chromosome, NN chromosomes, and then the fusion will result in the formation of a zygote. A single cell having both the two N chromosomes. This is known as zygote and this will result in the formation of development. Now the zygote will develop into a organism. This is a common process in which the genes are transferred. But Mendel has given two laws. First law of Mendel. It is represented or explained by the monohybrid cross. When two pea plants are crossed, where two pea plants are crossed as female plant and male plant having one single different character, like the female plant is having tall height and the male plant is having short height, so they will produce gametes and the gamete will only have the single chromosome. for the height, coding for the height, and then when the F1 generation will be formed, then it will have both equal chromosomes coming from the gametes. This will result in the tall individual, and this generation will be known as F1 generation. Now, by selfing the F1 generation, we will self cross the F1 offsprings, and we will get the F2 generation, and this will result in the formation of three different kinds of result. Like, as you can see, it will result in the tall individuals, 3 tall individuals, and 1 dwarf individual. So the trait which was coming from the male parent are shown in the F2 generation, but it was masked in the F1 generation. So with this experiment, Mendel proposed that in the first law, Mendel proposed that every individual has 2 alleles. Alleles are forms of same gene. So every individual has 2 alleles for 1 character, which are of dominant, expressive, and recessive type, hidden, and are passed through gametes. Into offsprings. And now the second law, it is expressed by dihybrid cross. Here the Mendel will take 2 characters together. Parents will be differing in the 2 characters, like the yellow and the round seed. And yellow wrinkled seed. So we can see that the single allele will come of both the parents, and then in F2 we are going to cross the F1. This is the F1. So it will result in the 4 types of parents, 4 types of offsprings in the ratio 9:3:3:1. These 4 types of parents are, 2 types will be of the parental types, like in the 9, yellow round, and this one will be green wrinkle, which is having both the recessive traits, and these 2 will be the recombinants, that are yellow wrinkled and green round. So this law states that alleles for 2 different characters are inherited independently of each other. Thank you.